What is going on, guys? So you decided to join the Army and you're wondering how the Army is going to change you, or how the military in general is going to change you. And in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the ways that it changed me. Now, right off the bat, I do want to say that the one big thing that I didn't really expect for it to change was my view of the freaking American flag. I used to just look at it whenever you're in school and stuff like that. There'll be flag posts, you know, as you're driving down the road, and you'll see an American flag, the red, white, and the blue, the stars and all that stuff. And you look at it and it's just like, you know, a flag, right? So before I joined the military, it was basically just a flag to me. And after joining the military, after wearing that patch on my shoulder, this patch right here that I wear every time I put on this uniform, right? It just takes on a whole nother meaning to me. After being in the military and being exposed to people who've had friends that have fought and died, and I've got friends who've already, just in 2 years of being in service, have been hurt and injured overseas, and it just totally changed the entire meaning of the American flag to me. And every time I look at it now, every time I see a flag driving down the road, every time I put on that uniform, it just, you know, it's just different, right? I don't really know how to explain it. It's just the flag. It just means a whole lot more to me now than it did before, and that's something I really didn't expect going into it. One other thing that is probably going to change for you guys too, but this definitely changed for me, is appreciating your family and the time that you spend with them, right? So before I left for basic training, you don't really appreciate a lot of the things that just the little simple things, right? You don't really appreciate, you know, that time you go see your parents and that time you go see your brothers and sisters, and it just, you kind of take it for granted, right? You don't really realize how much you miss your family until you can't see your family, right? So I had left at the time that I had joined basic training. I hadn't lived at home for basically about 2 years. I've been living on or around my college campus, and I would go home every couple of weeks, maybe once a month or something, and I would go see my family. And you don't really think about it, oh, I'm not going to see my family for a month or 2 months or whatever, because that option is always there to, you know, check them out on Facebook, see what they're up to, you know, call, you know, your friends or your friends and family and whatnot. That option is always there. And something that you don't really realize is when the option is taken away from you to see your family, to call your family, to, you know, check on them on Facebook and just see pictures and stuff about them and videos and stuff like that, and actually being able to interact with them, when that option is taken away from you, it's an entirely different feeling, right? So a lot of you guys, maybe you're in college or maybe you're not living at home or around your family, you have that option to talk to your mother on Mother's Day. Like we just had Mother's Day, right? Right now, there are privates and people at basic training and AIT and deployed that do not have the option to talk to their mother on Mother's Day, and that is a really big deal. Like, that is such a big difference. Whenever the option is taken away to see your family, it really just kind of brings out, and it shows you like how much you rely on your family. And that's something that I think is almost true across the board for the military, that you don't really think about it until you go in, and when they take away the option of being able to talk to your family, you know, whenever you miss them or whatever, it just shows you how much you rely on them. And that's something that has stuck with me. You know, I'm still not, you know, I'm not like the kind of person who calls my mom or my dad every single day, but I definitely appreciate the time that I get with my family, for sure, a lot more now than I did before, because I know, like, for example, I'm leaving for a month-long training in next week, right? And I'm not going to get to talk to or see my family that whole month. And, you know, sometime coming up soon or whatever, I'm going to get deployed, and I'm not going to get to see my family or even talk to them for a really long time. And I know that's going to happen, and I know kind of what it feels like. So I really, you know, take advantage, and I'm just, you know, happy with the time that I get to spend with my family. And that's something that has changed me, and I think is probably going to stick with me, you know, for the rest of my life, because going through all the training process, it really just showed me how much family is important to you as a person. One of the other big ways that the military has changed me is procrastination. And I know for probably 99% of you guys, you are a huge procrastinator. If you're in school, if you're in high school right now or college, you got a homework assignment to do and you're just like, crap, I don't want to do this, and you wait until like the night before to get your stuff done, or somebody tells you to do something and you wait until like the last moment to get it done. That is how a ton of people are. And when I joined the military, that is pretty much exactly how I was. I could usually get by with doing things the very last minute. And when you join the military, you kind of have to do things when you're told, right? So if somebody tells you, go do this, you are going to go do it pretty much right then, right? And so now transitioning out of the whole military training scene in life and other things, when people tell me to do something, or if I have a homework assignment, or if I have certain things to do, for example, in ROTC, we have to fill out these papers sometimes, and we have to do certain things. And usually when my instructor says, do this, I pretty much get it done that day. And for other cadets and stuff, it usually takes a long time because they haven't, some RTC cadets, they haven't gone through basic training in AIT. And I don't know, maybe that's just not been instilled into them. But for me personally, my procrastination, maybe I'm not the best person in the world still at doing things instantly. But, let's say before I was like a 10 on the procrastination and I was just horrible. Let's say I was that. Now I'm probably like a 3 or a 4. So that has totally changed me completely, and that's definitely going to help me improve my life, because procrastination is something we all do, but we should all try not to do. So I mentioned school pretty briefly there and how I was procrastinating in my homework and stuff like that. And after the military, going through basic training in AIT, it helped me realize how easy so much stuff is, right? So going to college for a couple of years and just hating homework and just really still not liking school that much because it's just a pain in the butt, then leaving to go to basic training and how hard and difficult that is, and just how non-stop things are, and how you're always having to do something, and you're always having to make things perfectly clean and sweeping, and it's so stressful, right? It's just so mentally stressful, mentally draining, physically draining. And then you get to AIT and you just have all this stuff to do. So I'm a 25 Bravo, or was, and you go to class for 8 hours a day, or 8 or 9 hours a day, and you just sit there and you're just getting this dry instructions, and then you got to go home and study it, and you basically literally have like an entire semester of coursework to do for you 25 Bravos out there. You basically have an entire semester condensed into like 1 or 2 weeks that you have to learn, and you go home, you get your big book, and you have to study that in your downtime. If you have fire guard shifts, study that during your fire guard shift, because I definitely did that, and it was extremely helpful, right? And going through that whole training experience of how stressful and how difficult things can really be, and then going back to college after training, man, I was like, this crap is easy. I'm a computer science major, so it's a STEM major. It's a more difficult major, but the entire college scene period is really not that difficult. Like, you give me a homework assignment and I have a week to do it. Like, are you kidding me? That's freaking simple. I'm just gonna knock that out in the first couple of days. Don't have to worry about it. And that's kind of what I've done. And some of my friends in college and stuff, they're just ready to get out. They're just ready to be through with this whole thing. And a lot of times when I'm sitting here, and if I want to complain to myself about this school or whatever I'm doing, it really helps me to remember all of my battle buddies at basic training and how difficult things are for them. Because as I speak right now, and as you guys are watching this video, there are people at basic training who've got it a whole lot worse than you. They can't talk to their family. They're having to do this stuff. They're getting smoked right now. People are at AIT and they're in freaking 8-hour long days that are just non-stop, death by PowerPoint, tons of PowerPoint presentations, tons of all this stuff, tons of studying to do. And, life is just easy, right? Compared to the military, being forced to do things immediately, having a whole lot of stuff crammed down your throat at AIT that you're supposed to learn and study on and take a test on at the end of the week. Like, college is easy. And that's kind of one of the big things that I've taken away from the military training and stuff that I've had. And not only that, the fact that life is easy. If I'm thinking about certain things, if I'm helping, my girlfriend out with her business, right? So if I'm doing pretty much anything and I'm wanting to, be like, oh, this sucks, right? In the back of my mind, I think it all the time, right? If something in ROTC is stupid, or something in school is stupid, something going on in my life is stupid, all the time, I think in the back of my head, it could be worse. I think of, again, my battle buddies over at basic training right now at Fort Benning when it's freaking 100 degrees and they're having to go do some ruck march like really far and they're just like exhausted. I don't have to do that right now. I think of all of my other buddies right now who are deployed, who are, wherever they're at right now, and they don't have the options and the freedoms that I have. That just really motivates me to work constantly, to do things and, not be lazy, because, whenever I think about that, it's just really hard for me to be lazy now. I guess that's a bonus to this video. One of the ways that the military changed me is I'm a whole lot less lazy now. Like, for example, when I was at AIT, my platoon sergeant, like an actual platoon sergeant, not the student platoon sergeant, my actual platoon sergeant, he told me, he's like, because he kind of knew me and he would talk to me pretty much on a daily, well, definitely on a daily basis, but sometimes we would have one-on-one conversations. And he told me, he was like, Ward, I don't know what you're going to do with yourself whenever you get back home, because he knew I was in the reserves. And when you get done with AIT or you're airborne or whatever your last training is, you basically go home. And he was like, I don't know what you're going to do with yourself, because you're not going to have anything to do, right? And that's totally how it felt. When I came home from AIT, that first day, first of all, it feels so surreal, because I had been gone in a training environment for about 8 months, right? And I had been gone, and getting home was just like, it was really surreal, and it felt really weird, because I just felt like the next day I was just going to wake up and I was going to go back to training, but that's not how it was. And I would wake up, and at this point, the first couple weeks, I hadn't started school back, and I was so bored. Just like my platoon sergeant told me, I was really bored. I didn't know what to do, because there was nothing to do. When you're at basic and AIT and training and active duty and doing all this stuff, there's always a place to go, something to do, some uniform to be in. And when you come home, it's just weird, because that's not there. So that's something that was just really, really weird for me, was coming home, having nothing on my plate to do. And so eventually I just started doing things. I started, working on trying to build websites, programming and stuff like that. And I started working on investing, and I started getting into real estate investing, and I used my bonus and stuff to do that. And I started constantly finding things to do. Then school started back, my first semester back, and I was just like, this crap is easy. It's not super easy classes, but having the time to study when I want to, and not being forced to do it at a certain time, and having the free time, only having class once or twice a week, like, that's easy. I'd rather have class once or twice a week than 8 or 9 hour class days every single day, 5 days a week, not being able to take a break or eat whenever you wanted. Like, it's just crazy. And so anyways, that's pretty much it for this. Those are all, I think, fairly positive things. There are a couple negatives that the Army has taught me, which are really good for the military, but not so good in the civilian side. If you guys want me to talk about that in a future video, leave a comment down below. I love it when you guys comment, questions, and say, whatever in the comment section, because like I commented on a previous video, I hope this is kind of more like a conversation to you guys, to where you feel like you can ask questions in the comments and talk to me, because I try to reply back to everything. So I love your guys' comments and your feedback, because that's the point of why I'm making these videos, to help you guys get a glimpse of the military, what you're about to go into, and like in this video, how the military changed me personally. All these things may not apply to you, but some of them might, and I hope that gives you just a better idea of how the military might change you as a person, and this video, it was all pretty much positive. So that's a bunch of good stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please like it. If you want to stick around for more videos, hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna have a bunch of good videos coming up soon with my brother. We got some more time to make some videos together since he's coming home from Fort Bragg again. So that's gonna be a real positive. So check that out this weekend and next week. So I hope you guys will enjoy that and stick around. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys later.